Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. So, today's video is going to be an update for one that I've done in the past, and that is talking about ammo. I think it's a favorite topic for preppers. I think it is useful information, um, but I will also say at the same time that while this is one of the fun videos for prepping, it is not what you should solely focus on. Um, and then on the same note, I can say if you're more trying to do this from a Minuteman point of view, then maybe it's what you should focus more on. Um, but as preppers, I think a really big part of this is purchasing ammo. It is buying the guns, being ready to, defend from the hordes of zombies or, you know, fight the raiders or do whatever. So, I, for the most part, have four different ammo types here in front of me because while I'm counting through this, I'm noticing a little bit of a problem. Uh, and it starts with my magazines. Most of them are Magpul. I've got a couple of the aluminum standard issue magazines. Um, when I wanted to change my gun, my AR to have the dark earth, I picked up. I've got three of these magazines. One of them's actually in the gun now. Um, and oh wait, no, actually I have four of that color. Here's another one. Yeah, I've got them sitting everywhere. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got one of their 20 rounds because for a while their Academy was only selling the 20 round option. But what I am noticing is I really do try my best to get the green tip or the M855s. But I will pick up a lot of times whatever's the cheapest. But I was counting my green tip ammo, and the thing that I'm running into is I have more magazines than I have the green tip that I can load into it. Don't worry. I'm still sitting on a almost completely full 30 cal box of the Russian steel case. I picked a lot of this up during college, which at this point it's been 6 years. Working at Pizza Hut, I was able to get these for $3.99, $4.99 a box. Back in the day. But what I would recommend when you're purchasing ammo, so you buy your rifle, it should come with 1 or 2 magazines. Awesome, you've got 2 magazines. The P mags are about between 15 and 20 apiece. And at least right now, the green tip, I was buying it for I think 9 a box, and the non-green tip is $7.99. The prices fluctuate all the time. Some of it, so I've got some of the 55 grain, just Winchester. I've got the Winchester green tip. I did accidentally grab one of the 223. So my gun will shoot it. I'm not worried about it. But when I purchase this stuff, I will typically go in and I'll buy 2 magazines and I will buy 3 boxes of ammo. 2046, yeah. 2 magazines, 3 boxes of ammo. That's how I compartmentalize it. Yes, I know buying ammo in bulk is going to save you a little bit of money. If you can do it that way, great. I feel a little bit better getting a little bit at a time versus waiting. Could just be, it always seems like problems pop up that I spend money and then I don't buy any ammo. I've gone in sometimes when I see the price, I pick up 1 box and I'm glad I got 20 rounds. A goal that you should shoot for. I used to say 1,000 rounds. You can say 1,000 rounds if you need a marker that you can write down in a book. I bought 60 rounds today. That brings my total up to 220. I bought a 100 round box. That brings my total up to 320. And if you need that to, check it off and like complete it as a goal, go for it. But doing that with one rifle that is going to be like if you had to grab one firearm because someone's breaking into your house, that's what you're going after. I am not the kind of person that's going to say, just quit buying guns. I have several and I would like to buy several more. For example, which it shows how crazy some of this pricing has gotten. I've got an Italian Carcano. These are the only 2 boxes for that gun that I have. It's a World War II gun. I like having it. This box I purchased last year. This is one of the boxes I bought like 6 or 7 when I bought it at a gun show, walked around, picked up as many boxes as I could find. One of these boxes I spent $23 on. The other I spent $40 on. That gun doesn't get shot very often. But it goes into the next idea of you should have a rifle that you want to hunt with, / the Minuteman side is, I want to have more distance. And so for that firearm, on my low end suggestion is you should have enough ammo for that gun that if you weren't storing any food because you just got into prepping, or you've run out, you are shooting 1 round at a time to drop an animal to provide food for your family. Multiply that by survival for 5 years. That's my bare minimum, which, I kind of like to think that I'd be able to shoot a deer, 2 or 3 in a month and could provide the meat. I also know that we're getting chickens and looking into rabbits, so that number could go lower. And I also know that every single person that hunts or anyone that's prepping has that idea in the back of their mind, whether it is on the back burner or that's your number one thing and we're going to wipe the deer out in months and then we're back to square one. And then the last thing is a handgun. It should be, one of the popular calibers, 22, 9mm, 40, maybe 357, 380, something along those lines. I actually have both of ours sitting over here. I'm going to go grab those real quick. I would recommend them at least being the same caliber if you have family. So I've got my wife's concealed carry. It's the Ruger uh, EC9. It That's an odd spot to get rust. It's getting rust on the safety, but it's in 9. And then my concealed carry is also 9, the 365X macro. And I take it a step further. The goal is to purchase her one of these soon-ish, because that's what my brother carries. I've got 4 magazines for mine. He's got like 7 or 8 for his. But the stuff is interchangeable. I'm building her AR. Doesn't know it, but I'm piecing it together. So, got to buy more magazines because I have 13. So I'd like to double that number, but slowly. But having similar firearms is a good thing, because, like, I don't have a camera stand right now, but y'all are sitting on 250 9mm rounds. Here's some more. This container of 200's been open. And then, there's a mixture of the FMJ stuff and the more expensive stuff that gets carried all the time, being I like the Hornady Critical Defense. I am messing around because they're 115 like the FMJ, so I think it's a very similar round, even though it flowers differently. I am messing around with their subsonic because it's a 147. We'll see how that goes. But your handgun, that ammo is cheaper. I think you should have more of it. I also say that from the standpoint of when I'm at work and out in public, I'm carrying it. So that is my first line of defense, probably 75% of a 24-hour period. The bonus category item is the good old 22. I like the Monarch brand because it is Academy buying ammo in bulk, repackaging it. It's mostly the same stuff. And they recently had their 500 back in stock. It's a different package than I originally had. And it was like $27.99. I miss in college being able to get it for $19.99. It's the bonus category because, I have at least probably a 3-to-1 22 ammo than my 9mm, my 5.56, my 40 S&W, my 30 carbine, the Carcano, the Mosin, because it is very, very cheap. If you're trying to train people on using firearms, it's very cheap to train with that. If you just need to use it for self-defense or light hunting, it's a good multi-use. But to wrap it up, or to recap, and then we'll wrap it up, one main firearm that is, if you were at home, something bad's happening, you're grabbing that. 1,000 rounds if you need to compartmentalize it like that. But I would say it is part of your budget. if you can only spend $10 a week on ammunition. You know, you've pieced out on buying medical and water and this and this and this, then you're spending $10. If you can't afford a box at $10, then you're waiting until week 2 and you're spending that money. All the change for that goes right back into, you know, your next purchase. If you want to wait to buy it in bulk, do that. You know, this is definitely where a mag is important. You know, me and my brother picked up like 500 9mm rounds at one point, split the cost, and if we were buying it, you know, 50 rounds at a time, we'd have got like 60 bullets less. You know, you can do it that way if you'd like to. For your handgun, I think that's what's going to be used the most. So, with that, 2,000 rounds. We'll say that. I like that. And then 22, it should be in the thousands. Just, you know, for $60, you can already add that comma for the 22. It's also very easy. You know, you go to Academy, they don't let you buy 5 boxes anyway because they have a limit. You know, you can pick them up, you know, $4 or $5 at a time. Sometimes I've seen them at $2.99 every once in a while. I would stick with the 22 long instead of the 22 short. That's just my gun. Your gun might be different. But I would stick, and then, you know, the other gun is feeding your family. Once you feel comfortable with that, then that's when you can branch off to other firearms, slow down on ammo for one, and increase it with another. And just never stop. You know, worst case scenario is you never have to use any of it except for training. That's something to keep in mind. But it is an investment. You know, going back to the Carcano stuff, you know, it almost doubled in price in a 5-year period. I haven't been back to a gun show in a while, so I don't know if it's gone lower because it was just, you know, COVID and the freaking out over that. But you get super old, you give it to your kids, and that's kind of like an inheritance. Or, you know, it can be sold, and it can, you know, help later on in life. But let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree with this? Do you disagree? Add your stuff, ask questions, subscribe, follow, share it with a friend and family member. And with that, I'll catch you all in the next one.